Leonard was a man who had everything anyone could ever want. His name was known in the world of business, and he had money beyond measure. Tall buildings carried his name, luxury cars waited in his garage, and people bowed to his presence. Yet despite all of this, Leonard felt a strange emptiness inside. He had built walls around himself after his wife passed away years ago. And even his young son Noah, who had been born with a physical disability, seemed distant to him. Leonard tried to show love in his own way, but it always felt forced, like the words were heavy stones he had to carry. Noah, sweet and gentle, was often left in the care of nurses while Leonard buried himself in meetings, contracts, and endless business deals. One afternoon, Leonard was traveling to a meeting in a small town not far from the city. His car, a sleek black luxury vehicle, suddenly broke down on a lonely road. Leonard's phone had no signal, and he frowned at the thought of waiting for hours for help. The sun was setting, painting the sky in orange and pink shades, and Leonard felt a mixture of irritation and boredom. There was nothing nearby, just trees and the quiet hum of nature. But as he drove slowly, he noticed a small diner tucked into the corner of a street. It was old, not fancy at all, with a faded sign swinging slightly in the wind. Leonard sighed, but knew he had no other choice. He parked his car and stepped inside. The smell of coffee and freshly cooked food greeted him. The diner was simple, with wooden tables and chairs, a counter with stools, and a few regular customers scattered around. It had an old charm to it, a warmth that seemed rare in Leonard's life. Behind the counter, a young waitress moved quickly, her uniform plain and slightly worn. She had a friendly face, and her movements were graceful yet hurried. Her name tag read Lily. She smiled at each customer, her eyes bright with kindness. Leonard, who was used to being noticed and served everywhere he went, felt almost invisible in this place, and for a moment that felt different. Leonard chose a seat by the window where he could watch the world outside. He ordered the simplest meal, not wanting to draw attention. As he waited, he noticed Lily rushing to a small table in the corner. There, a little boy sat alone, struggling to eat his food. His hands trembled slightly, and he looked frustrated. Leonard's eyes narrowed as he watched Lily kneel beside him, carefully helping him cut his food and feeding him with a gentle patience that made Leonard's chest tighten. There was no show, no attempt to look impressive. She was simply caring, as if this was the most natural thing in the world. Leonard could not take his eyes off her. Something inside him shifted. He thought of Noah at home, eating alone sometimes because Leonard was too busy. He remembered the nurses who tried to help, but could never give Noah the warmth of a caring hand that Lily gave this little boy. Leonard felt a strange pull, a feeling he had not experienced in years. It was as if he had been looking for something he did not know he was missing, and now he had found it in this small, unremarkable diner and in the simple, pure actions of a young waitress. Lily continued to move around the diner, attending to customers with the same warmth and patience. She laughed with a few regulars, poured coffee for an elderly man who could barely hold a cup, and reassured a young mother whose baby had just spilled food on the floor. Leonard observed quietly, amazed at how much she gave of herself without expecting anything. He realized that the world he lived in, filled with wealth, power, and luxury, often lacked these small, beautiful acts of kindness. He found himself envying her even though she had so little. She had a life full of struggles, yet she smiled and gave freely while he had everything and still felt hollow. Leonard's thoughts drifted back to his own life. He thought of Noah, who had such a gentle soul and yet often looked lonely. He remembered the nights he spent working, missing bedtime stories, missing little moments of laughter, and wondering if he would ever feel connected to his son the way Lily was connecting with that boy in the corner. Leonard realized that he had been living in a bubble, chasing numbers, deals, and recognition, while the most important things, love, care, connection, had slipped through his fingers. He watched Lily carefully, noticing the little things, the way she spoke softly to the boy, the way she wiped a tear from his cheek, the small pats on his shoulder that seemed to say, "You are safe here and I care." Leonard's chest ached. For the first time in years, he felt a mix of regret and hope. Regret for the moments he had missed with Noah, and hope that perhaps there was still time to make a change. The diner was almost empty now, except for a few lingering customers. Leonard's food arrived, but he barely noticed it. He was too engrossed in watching Lily. She moved with grace, a quiet hero in an ordinary place, unnoticed by the world but deeply noticed by him. Leonard felt a strange connection forming, Not with her yet, not in any way that could be called love, but a recognition of something pure, something that reminded him of what he had almost forgotten. The value of giving without expecting, the beauty of human kindness. As he ate in silence, he noticed a few other details. The plates were chipped, the floor had small stains, and the diner was far from perfect. Yet everything seemed perfect in its imperfection because of Lily's presence. She had a way of transforming the ordinary into something meaningful. Leonard realized that wealth and power had never given him this feeling. Money could buy luxury, cars, houses, but it could not buy genuine care, empathy, or the simple joy of helping someone in need. Lily had it all in a way without even realizing. He finished his meal quickly, paying the bill without looking at the total. Then he did something unusual for him. He reached into his wallet and left a tip that was far more than the meal cost. Leonard walked out quickly, hoping Lily wouldn't notice. But Lily did. She ran after him into the parking lot, calling out politely that she could not accept it. Leonard paused, surprised by her honesty and integrity. Most people in his world would have taken the money without a second thought. There was a dignity in her refusal, a silent statement that kindness and honesty mattered more than wealth. Leonard walked back to his car, a storm of thoughts swirling in his mind. He realized he wanted to see Lily again, to understand her story, to witness more of her kindness. And perhaps, he thought quietly, he wanted to bring some of that warmth into his own life. He had lived so long in a world of money, deals, and contracts, yet the richest part of life, he now understood, was in simple acts of care and love. As he drove away, the diner faded behind him, but Lily's image stayed firmly in his mind. He thought of Noah at home, waiting for him in a world that often felt cold and distant. Leonard knew that he wanted to return, not just for himself but for his son, who deserved to feel cared for in the way Lily was showing this little boy in the corner. Something inside Leonard had shifted quietly without any loud declaration, but powerfully enough to change the way he would see the world from that moment onward. That evening, back in his luxurious house filled with empty spaces, Leonard thought about what he had seen. He realized that no money, no power, no title could replace the feeling of genuine human connection. And for the first time in many years, he felt a spark of hope. Hope that life could be more than just work and wealth. Hope that he could connect with his son. And hope that the kindness he witnessed today could somehow weave its way into his own life. He did not yet know how or when, but he knew something important had begun. The first step, he realized, was noticing the small acts of love that already existed in the world. Like the ones he had just witnessed in a small, quiet diner through the simple, patient, and generous hands of a young waitress named Lily. The next day, Leonard found it impossible to stop thinking about the small diner and the young waitress who had touched something deep inside him. Even in the midst of board meetings and phone calls, her smile and the gentle way she had cared for that boy kept appearing in his mind. The memory of her patience, her kindness, and the warmth she carried as if it were a light that could brighten even the darkest places stayed with him. Leonard realized that he wanted to see her again, not just out of curiosity, but because she had shown him something he had forgotten, the meaning of compassion. He decided to go back to the diner. This time he brought Noah with him. Leonard had spent the morning hesitating, unsure how to introduce his son or how the young waitress would react. But he knew it was important. Noah had been quiet and withdrawn, often preferring to watch the world rather than fully engage with it. Leonard wanted to see if Lily's gentle presence could reach the boy in a way he never could. The drive to the diner was quiet, with Leonard lost in thought and Noah quietly looking out the window. When they arrived, Leonard parked the car and walked toward the entrance, feeling a nervous excitement he hadn't felt in years. Inside, the diner was just as he remembered, the smell of coffee and breakfast filling the air. Lily was moving quickly from table to table as if she had always been there, carrying a warmth that seemed effortless. Leonard's heart lifted at the sight of her, but it also felt heavy with the awareness that his son needed this kind of care, a kind of love that came naturally to someone like her. Noah sat quietly in the wheelchair, watching Lily move with a curious mix of shyness and fascination. Leonard led him to a table near the corner, close enough that Noah could see Lily but far enough that she wouldn't immediately notice them. As if sensing something, Lily glanced in their direction. Her eyes softened when she saw Noah, and she approached him with the same gentle smile she had shown the day before. Leonard watched closely as Lily knelt beside Noah, speaking softly and directly to him. At first, Noah seemed hesitant, unsure of how to react. His hands trembled slightly as he looked at her, and Leonard felt a pang of worry. But Lily didn't rush. She let him adjust to her presence. She told him his food was ready, that it was okay to take small bites, and that she would be right there if he needed help. Her calm voice, patient and soothing, slowly melted away the tension in Noah's shoulders. Noah tentatively reached for his fork, and Lily guided his hand gently, helping him cut the food into smaller pieces. She laughed softly at his attempts, praising him for each little success, and encouraged him to try again. Leonard could hardly believe the transformation. His son, who often struggled to eat or communicate at home, was suddenly relaxed, smiling and even chatting with Lily. The warmth between them was natural, effortless, and genuine. Leonard felt a wave of emotion he hadn't known in years, pride, relief, and gratitude all mixed together. Watching Lily care for Noah made him realize how much he had missed by focusing solely on work. He wanted this kind of connection for his son and for himself. While Noah ate, Leonard quietly observed the diner. Lily continued her work, moving gracefully from one table to another. She didn't ignore her duties, but she had a way of making each person feel important. Leonard noticed her laugh with an elderly customer, check in on a young mother, and gently scold a child who had been playing with a sugar packet, all without losing her warm demeanor. Her presence seemed to lift the whole room. Leonard realized that her kindness wasn't a performance. It was a reflection of who she truly was. She gave freely, not because she expected anything in return, but because it was part of her nature. This realization struck Leonard deeply. He had spent his life giving and taking in terms of business and money, but this was different. This was pure, unselfish human care. Noah, encouraged by Lily's gentle guidance, began to engage more. He smiled, laughed, and even attempted to tell her about his favorite games and books. Leonard could hardly believe what he was witnessing. His son had always been shy and cautious, but under Lily's care he was blooming. It was as if her presence had unlocked something inside him, giving him the confidence to interact without fear or hesitation. Leonard felt tears prick his eyes. He realized that he had been missing these small moments of connection with Noah, the very things that truly mattered in life. Watching Lily, Leonard understood that no amount of wealth or success could replace the value of care, attention, and love. After Noah finished his meal, Lily stayed with him for a few moments longer. Chatting, laughing, and making sure he was comfortable, Leonard felt a deep sense of gratitude toward her. Yet he knew it was more than that. He wanted to thank her, to somehow acknowledge the impact she had made on both him and his son. But he didn't know the right words. He realized that money, the thing he had always relied on, would not be enough. Lily didn't need wealth. She needed recognition for her kindness, understanding for her struggles, and perhaps a chance to have her life change for the better. As they prepared to leave, Leonard spoke quietly to Lily, asking her about the boy from the previous day. She told him he sometimes came by the diner after school, because his mother worked long hours and couldn't always pick him up. She shrugged as if it were nothing, saying she didn't mind helping him eat. Leonard was stunned by her humility. She didn't see her actions as extraordinary, but Leonard knew they were. The patience and care she showed despite her own hardships were rare qualities that touched him deeply. The conversation made Leonard reflect even more on his own life. He thought of his son, his busy schedule, and the distance he had allowed to grow between him and Noah. Watching Lily, he understood the value of presence, the importance of showing up, and the power of small acts of love. Leonard realized that he wanted to do more than simply admire her kindness from afar. He wanted to bring the same kind of care into his own life, to connect with Noah in ways he had neglected for far too long. Over the next few weeks, Leonard and Noah returned to the diner frequently. Each visit brought more laughter, more learning, and more connection. Noah began to recognize Lily and greet her warmly, while Leonard found himself looking forward to these simple moments, away from the stress and noise of his business world. Lily never judged Leonard for his wealth, nor did she see him as someone to impress. She treated him and Noah with the same kindness and respect she showed everyone. This consistency and sincerity built a bond of trust between them, slowly drawing Leonard out of his guarded shell. During one visit, Leonard learned more about Lily's life. She had a mother who was ill and a younger brother who needed schooling. She worked long hours, often sacrificing her own rest and comfort to provide for her family. Leonard listened quietly, his heart heavy with both admiration and concern. He realized that she deserved more than the life she was living, yet she never complained. Her resilience, humility, and kindness made Leonard question everything he had prioritized in life. He understood that wealth without purpose was empty, but wealth used to lift others could create a ripple of positive change. Lily had unknowingly shown him a new way to see the world. As they left the diner one afternoon, Leonard made a silent promise to himself. He would find a way to help Lily, not as an act of charity, but as a recognition of the light she had brought into his life and his son's life. He wanted Noah to grow up surrounded by people like her, people whose hearts were full, whose kindness was genuine, and whose actions spoke louder than words. Leonard knew that his journey was just beginning, but the first step had been taken. A simple visit to a small diner, a boy in need, and a young waitress named Lily who had opened a door to something he had almost forgotten existed, the warmth of human compassion. Through these visits, Leonard observed more than just Lily's care for Noah. He saw her interactions with every customer, her unwavering patience, and her ability to make anyone feel seen and valued. He realized that her kindness extended far beyond his son, reaching every person she met. Leonard began to reflect on his own life, understanding that he had focused so much on wealth and success that he had neglected the human connections that truly mattered. Seeing Lily made him want to be better, to give more of himself, and to be present in a way he had not been for years. Noah, encouraged by Lily's gentle guidance, continued to open up more each day. He started to speak freely, share his thoughts, and even help Lily with small tasks around the diner. Leonard watched these moments with a mixture of awe and relief. He realized that the boy he loved was thriving in an environment filled with kindness, patience, and warmth. Leonard's heart, long dormant, began to feel lighter, as if it were waking up to the possibilities that lay ahead. He understood that the simplest acts of care could have the most profound impact, shaping not just one life, but multiple lives in ways that could never be measured by money or status. Through these repeated visits, Leonard began to see a new world, and one where love, care, and human connection were more valuable than the most luxurious possessions. He saw the difference one person could make, and he knew that Lily was that person, quietly changing lives without even realizing it. Leonard felt a deep sense of gratitude and a growing determination. He wanted to ensure that her life and the lives of those she cared for. Over the next few days, Leonard found himself thinking more and more about Lily and the diner. The memory of her patience, her smile, and the way she had connected with Noah stayed with him constantly. He realized that seeing Lily care for his son had stirred something in him that he hadn't felt for years. He wanted to be near that kind of warmth and compassion, not only for his own sake, but for Noah's. It was as if the world had suddenly opened a small door for him, a door that he hadn't even known existed. One morning, Leonard decided to visit the diner again. This time he arrived early, before the lunch crowd, hoping to have a quiet moment to observe Lily at work. He parked his car and walked in, noticing the familiar smell of coffee and pancakes that always made him feel oddly comforted. Lily was already there, wiping tables and arranging condiments. She looked up when she noticed him, and her face lit with a welcoming smile. Leonard returned the smile, though it felt awkward. He wasn't used to feeling this kind of anticipation for something so simple as a diner visit. Noah, of course, came with him. The boy had begun to look forward to these visits, his eyes brightening whenever he saw Lily. Today, however, Leonard noticed a small hesitation in Noah. He seemed unsure of how to act around Lily outside of mealtime. Leonard reassured him, speaking softly and encouraging him to be himself. As they approached, Lily knelt down once again to greet Noah. She remembered his favorite dish and had it ready before they even sat down. The little gestures, simple as they were, filled Leonard with amazement. It was the kind of attention and care that money could never buy. While Noah enjoyed his meal, Leonard watched Lily move around the diner. She was always attentive, always smiling, always patient. She helped an elderly man carry his coffee back to his table, comforted a crying toddler, and even found a moment to chat with a young couple who seemed nervous and awkward. Leonard couldn't help but notice the ease with which she connected with everyone, the natural way she spread kindness without expecting recognition. He began to realize that her world was so different from his own, Yet it was the kind of world he wanted to be part of, if only in small ways. After Noah finished eating, Lily lingered to help him clean up. Leonard felt a mixture of gratitude and admiration. She never rushed, never complained, and never treated him or his son as a burden. In her eyes, they were simply two people she cared for in that moment. Leonard realized that he had spent his life surrounded by people who wanted something from him, who were drawn to his money and status rather than his presence. Lily was different. She cared because she wanted to, because it was in her nature, and that made her extraordinary in a way that Leonard hadn't encountered before. As they were preparing to leave, Leonard decided to ask her more about herself. He wanted to understand the challenges she faced, the life she led, and the reasons behind her selflessness. Lily spoke simply, almost shyly, about her family. Her mother was sick, and she worked long hours to make sure her younger brother could attend school. She had little time for herself, and the diner was more than a job. It was a place where she could help others, even if only in small ways. Leonard listened quietly, moved by her resilience and humility. Here was a young woman who had so little yet gave so much. It struck him deeply. The more Leonard learned, the more he realized that he wanted to do something to help Lily, though he didn't yet know how. He thought of all the ways money could make a difference, but he also knew that Lily's life wasn't just about financial struggle. She needed recognition, support, and opportunities that could change her future. Leonard understood that this was not a transaction. It was about acknowledging the light she brought into the world and giving her the chance to shine even brighter. Over the following week, Leonard and Noah became regular visitors at the diner. Each visit strengthened the bond between Noah and Lily. The boy began to speak more freely, laugh more often, and even help Lily with small tasks like setting tables or pouring drinks. Leonard watched, amazed at the transformation. He saw how small acts of care and attention could have such a profound effect. Noah was thriving in ways Leonard hadn't imagined, and it was all because of Lily's patience and kindness. Leonard, in turn, began to reflect on his own life and relationships. He realized that he had spent so much time chasing success that he had neglected the very connections that gave life meaning. Seeing Lily care for his son reminded him of what he had been missing. He wanted to reconnect with Noah, not just in short bursts, but in meaningful, lasting ways. He began to make time for moments that mattered, to listen, to observe, and to be present. Lily had shown him the way, not through words, but through action. Her simple acts of kindness had opened his eyes to the importance of love, care, and human connection. One afternoon, Leonard observed a small incident that further impressed him. A young boy dropped his toy on the floor, and Lily quickly picked it up, handed it back, and reassured him with a smile. The boy beamed, and Leonard noticed a warmth in the diner that went beyond food and service. It was a place where people felt seen and valued, where small gestures created ripples of joy. Leonard realized that this environment was exactly what Noah needed, a space where he could grow, laugh, and feel safe. He also realized that he wanted to ensure that Lily's life improved as much as she had improved theirs. As the days passed, Leonard began to consider the many ways he could help Lily without disrupting her independence or pride. He wanted to lift the burden she carried without making her feel indebted or diminished. He thought about financial support, educational opportunities, and even ways to expand the diner. But he knew that whatever he did had to honor her character and her generosity. Leonard's mind was busy, but unlike his usual work, this project felt meaningful. It wasn't about profit or prestige. It was about giving back, about making a real difference in someone's life who truly deserved it. Noah continued to grow more comfortable around Lily. He began to anticipate their visits, often talking about what he wanted to eat or the games he would play. Leonard saw the joy in his son's eyes and felt a satisfaction that no amount of business success had ever given him. He realized that wealth was not measured in money alone, but in the ability to positively impact the lives of others. Lily had shown him this lesson in the most unassuming way, through acts of care that seemed small but were monumental in their effects. One day, Leonard decided to stay longer after their meal, observing how Lily interacted with other customers. He noticed the patience she had with an elderly man who was hard of hearing, how she explained the menu to a nervous young woman, and how she comforted a child who had dropped his ice cream. Each action was filled with sincerity, with a quiet understanding of human needs that Leonard had rarely encountered. He was inspired. not only by her kindness but by her ability to create a positive environment for everyone around her. Leonard realized that her impact extended far beyond his own family. She was a beacon in that small diner, bringing light to everyone who entered. After leaving the diner that day, Leonard reflected on the lessons he had learned from Lily. He understood that wealth and power were empty without purpose, and that true fulfillment came from acts of compassion and care. He made a mental note to find ways to support Lily, not to change her but to enhance the goodness she already possessed. He also recognized the importance of being present in Noah's life, to guide him, support him, and allow him to flourish. Leonard felt a sense of hope that he hadn't experienced in years. He knew that life could be better, richer, and more meaningful if he applied the lessons he had learned from a simple waitress named Lily. In the evenings, Leonard often thought about the diner, about Lily's warmth and about Noah's laughter. He realized that these moments were the true treasures of life. He began to plan carefully, thinking about how he could make a lasting difference for Lily and her family. He wanted to act in a way that honored her spirit, her generosity, and her resilience. Leonard understood that true kindness was reciprocal, not in expectation but in action. By helping Lily, he could create a ripple of positive change that would benefit not just her, but everyone she touched. Leonard's determination grew with each visit. He was no longer the man who had simply observed life from the outside, disconnected and distant. He was becoming someone who valued human connection, who recognized the importance of care, and who was ready to act to create real change. The journey had only begun, but Leonard felt a quiet confidence that the next steps would lead to meaningful results. All it had taken was the simple act of witnessing kindness, and now he was ready to extend that kindness in ways that would transform lives, beginning with the young waitress named Lily, who had unknowingly become a catalyst for change in both his and his son's lives. One bright morning, Leonard decided to bring a small surprise for Noah and Lily. He had asked his assistant to arrange for some fresh flowers and a small basket of pastries to be delivered to the diner. It was a small gesture, but he hoped it would bring a smile to Lily and make Noah feel special. Leonard had spent the morning in anticipation, thinking about how he would watch the interaction unfold. When they arrived, Lily was already bustling behind the counter preparing for the breakfast crowd. The moment she noticed them, her face lit up with a genuine smile. Noah's eyes widened in excitement, and Leonard felt a warmth in his chest he hadn't experienced in years. Lily knelt down to greet Noah, and he held out the small basket of pastries. She laughed softly, touched by the thoughtful gesture, and handed Noah a small pastry to enjoy right away. The warmth between them was natural and unforced. Leonard observed quietly, noticing how effortlessly Lily made Noah feel comfortable and valued. The way she engaged with his son reminded him of the importance of kindness, patience, and presence. He realized that these moments were shaping Noah in ways that no classroom or toy could replicate. Throughout the morning, Leonard watched as Lily moved from table to table, spreading her kindness. She assisted an elderly woman with her coffee, gently reassured a nervous child, and even engaged in friendly conversation with a young man who seemed shy and unsure. Leonard began to understand that Lily's impact went far beyond her duties at the diner. She was creating an environment where everyone felt seen, valued, and cared for. Leonard thought about his own life and the people around him. He recognized that wealth and success were hollow without meaningful human connections. Lily had reminded him of what truly mattered. Noah, inspired by Lily's patience, began to interact more openly with her. He asked questions, shared stories, and even offered small gestures of help, like passing a napkin or holding a tray. Leonard felt pride and relief. His son, who had been quiet and reserved, was blossoming under Lily's guidance. Leonard realized that the simple acts of care and attention were giving Noah confidence and joy. He understood that kindness could transform lives in ways that money alone never could. Watching his son, Leonard felt a renewed sense of purpose and determination. After the morning rush, Leonard and Noah helped Lily clear a few tables. It was a small task, but the shared effort created a sense of camaraderie and connection. Lily expressed her gratitude, not only for the help but for the thoughtfulness Leonard had shown in bringing the pastries and flowers. Leonard realized that acts of kindness, no matter how small, could strengthen bonds and inspire trust. He saw the power of genuine care in action, and it filled him with hope and motivation to continue supporting Lily and her family. Over the next several days, Leonard began to think more strategically about how he could help Lily without disrupting her independence. He reflected on her life, her struggles, and the sacrifices she had made for her family. Leonard knew that simply giving money would not be enough. Lily's spirit and pride were as important as her financial needs. He wanted to find a way to provide support that respected her character and empowered her to continue being the kind, compassionate person she was. Leonard also began to notice the subtle ways in which Lily influenced those around her. Her kindness encouraged others to be more considerate, her patience inspired calm, and her generosity created a ripple effect that extended beyond the diner. Leonard realized that helping her was not just an act of gratitude. It was an investment in a positive force in the community. He understood that by supporting her, he could amplify the impact she was already having on the lives of many people. One afternoon, as Leonard and Noah were finishing their meal, a local businessman entered the diner. He was looking for a place to host a small community meeting, and he seemed unsure of where to go. Lily approached him with a warm smile, offering suggestions and making him feel welcome. Leonard watched as she effortlessly navigated the situation, providing guidance without appearing overbearing. He realized that Lily possessed not only compassion, but also intelligence and resourcefulness. She had the ability to manage challenges gracefully, and Leonard admired her for it. After the businessman left, Leonard approached Lily and asked about the possibility of expanding the diner or creating additional opportunities for her. He emphasized that he wanted to help in a way that respected her autonomy and empowered her to make decisions. Lily was hesitant at first, unsure of how to respond. She had been used to managing on her own and had never expected someone like Leonard to take an interest in her future. Leonard reassured her that his goal was to support her, not to control her. He wanted to provide resources and opportunities that could enhance her life and the lives of those she cared for. In the following days, Leonard met with advisors and began planning discreetly. He considered various options, including financial support for her family, investments in the diner to improve equipment and facilities, and educational opportunities for Lily and her brother. Leonard approached each decision carefully, ensuring that his actions would have a meaningful impact without undermining Lily's independence. He recognized the delicate balance between providing help and respecting pride, and he was determined to navigate it thoughtfully. Meanwhile, Noah continued to thrive. He had developed a strong bond with Lily, eagerly anticipating each visit to the diner. Leonard noticed that his son's confidence and happiness were growing, and he attributed much of this progress to the nurturing environment Lily provided. Leonard felt a deep sense of gratitude for her presence in their lives. He realized that true wealth was measured not by material possessions, but by the positive impact one could have on others. Lily had demonstrated this truth through her actions, and Leonard was determined to honor her contributions in a meaningful way. One evening, after the diner had closed, Leonard reflected on the journey so far. He thought about the countless acts of kindness Lily had shown, the growth he had witnessed in Noah, and the lessons he had learned about compassion, empathy, and human connection. He felt a profound sense of responsibility to ensure that her life would improve in a lasting and meaningful manner. Leonard understood that this was not just about providing resources. It was about recognizing the value of a person who had touched their lives so deeply and creating opportunities for her to continue spreading positivity and care. The following morning, Leonard returned to the diner with a new sense of purpose. He had made decisions about the ways he could support Lily and her family, and he was eager to begin implementing them. When he arrived, Lily greeted him and Noah with her usual warmth, unaware of the plans he had set in motion. Leonard felt a mix of anticipation and nervousness, hoping that his efforts would be received in the spirit they were intended. He knew that this moment could mark a turning point in their lives, creating opportunities and hope for the future. As they sat down for breakfast, Leonard observed Lily interacting with customers, her patience and kindness evident in every action. He reflected on how her presence had transformed not only Noah but himself as well. Leonard realized that he had grown in empathy, understanding, and appreciation for the simple yet profound ways in which humans could connect and care for one another. He felt a renewed sense of purpose and responsibility, determined to ensure that Lily's life would be enriched and supported in a manner befitting her character and contributions. Leonard decided that the next step would be to involve Noah in the process. He wanted his son to understand the importance of kindness, generosity, and recognition, and to witness firsthand the impact one person could have on another's life. Noah, curious and excited, listened attentively as Leonard explained in simple terms that they wanted to help Lily and her family. The boy's eyes sparkled with understanding and anticipation, and Leonard felt a deep sense of pride. He knew that this experience would shape Noah's values and perspective in ways that would endure throughout his life. Over the next few weeks, Leonard and Noah continued their visits to the diner, each time observing Lily and her interactions with the community. They began implementing small, thoughtful gestures to support her and her family. Leonard arranged for additional supplies for the diner, ensuring that Lily had the resources she needed to manage her work efficiently. He also provided discreet assistance for her mother's medical care and her brother's education, all while maintaining Lily's autonomy and dignity. Each action was carefully considered to maximize positive impact, without compromising her independence. The results were immediate and heartwarming. Lily's stress levels decreased, allowing her to focus more on her work and her interactions with customers. Noah continued to flourish, growing more confident and joyful with each visit. Leonard observed these changes with a sense of fulfillment and gratitude, recognizing that the efforts he had undertaken were making a meaningful difference. He understood that true success was measured not by wealth alone, but by the positive influence one could have on the lives of others. Lily had taught him this lesson, and he was determined to honor it fully. By the end of Part 4, Leonard had not only begun to transform Lily's life, but had also undergone a profound personal transformation. He had learned the value of empathy, patience, and human connect.